Good morning and welcome to Michigan Farm and Garden. I'm Jody Pollock Newsom and I'm your host. We have a great show lined up for you this morning. This morning we're going to talk about the equine industry. We're going to talk about Tom's Western Store. We're also going to talk about high school rodeo and how to get involved in 4-H. Stay tuned. Good morning, and again, welcome to Michigan Farm and Garden. You know, folks, we're always talking about the agriculture industry and the importance of that industry to our state, looking at over a $93 billion industry to our state's economy. And one of those industries I think we really take for granted is the horse industry. Certainly lots of opportunities to get involved, lots of opportunities to learn more, and certainly looking at ways that we can learn more about the industry and ways that we can get involved. So the show is really going to focus on and really highlight certainly the horse industry and the equine industry that we have here in our state. My first guest this morning is Taylor Fabus. She is a visiting professor at Michigan State, and we're going to talk a little bit about her involvement with the horse industry, and then we're also going to talk about 4-H, how you get involved, how you can learn more, what you can do as far as competition, and really just share a little bit more information from the young kids all the way up as to what you can do and how you can get involved. Then we're also going to talk a little bit this morning about high school rodeo. And with me to do that, I have Cassidy Miller. She's been competing, and we're going to talk a little bit about how she got involved. We're going to learn a little bit more about training because she's done her own training. And then we're going to talk about events and opportunities that you can get out there, learn more, and even if you can't participate, you can certainly see this amazing sport that we have the opportunity to take advantage of here in our state. Then for my third segment, I have with me Tom Tyler and Caitlin Howe. Tom is with Tom's Western Store, and if you're anywhere in the mid-Michigan area, you have certainly heard of Tom's. We're going to talk a little bit about the store, how they got involved, a little bit about the evolution and looking at the different events and activities, and then we're going to talk with Caitlin about how she's involved with the family business, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the crafts she's done, and she shows herself. So folks, the show is going to give you a great opportunity to learn more and put some faces with those folks behind the industry that we have here in our state. Then I will wrap the show up with a great recipe, certainly highlighting blueberries that are in season with blueberry granola bars. Folks, it's going to be a great show. Stay tuned, and we will be back with our first guest right after the Michigan Farm and Garden Fact of the Week.
It's time for the Michigan Farm and Garden Fact of the Week.
Rodeo is an equestrian discipline originated from the United States as an extension of the day-to-day lives of the pioneer cowboy. Catching cattle for branding and riding young bucking horses naturally progressed into competitions between the cowboys. For more information, pick up Rodeo, Amazing Horse Facts and Trivia by Gary Moen, and the information we just shared came from page 62. And welcome back. We are back with Taylor Fabus. Taylor, welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Visiting instructor MSU. I'm going to have you start and tell us a little bit about yourself. And I think you have a couple pictures to go along with that too.
Of course I do. Yes, I have some pictures of my beautiful family. I'm a little biased though. Yes, I am a visiting instructor at MSU. A little bit about me personally and my involvement in the equine industry of Michigan. I am born and raised here in mid-Michigan, and I was brought into the horse industry through my parents. So they actually met in 4-H, and so they raised my sister and I within that industry, and it certainly has made me the person I am today. I still compete with my own horse, and I think we'll get to see some of those pictures later. But as far as my work, visiting instructor, I do a lot of work with MSU Extension. That is the largest part of my role. So I plan the state level 4-H horse events for Michigan, and we just wrapped up the state 4-H horse show last weekend, so it's been a busy time.
It is, and it seems like the events just continue to grow.
Oh yeah.
And get bigger and bigger and more for you to do.
That's right. Yeah, why not?
Well, and certainly, when we look at getting folks involved and, you talk about the family, 4-H really is one of those great ways, and it really has been a family event. I think that's pretty much passed on from generation to generation.
It really is, and you mentioned the growing involvement numbers, and there certainly are. There's about 13,000 4-Hers involved in the Michigan 4-H Horse Project. So that's quite a few involved in just the horses. So it has been passed down family to family, but our numbers are still very strong. And at the State 4-H Show that I mentioned that we just wrapped up, we had about 600 exhibitors from all around Michigan come to that. So.
Well, and we saw pictures of your little one, so we have the next generation coming too. Huh?
That's right. She's already horse crazy. Oh yeah, and I'm pretty thrilled with that.
I have one of those at home too, and yeah, same thing. You got to start them young.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about 4-H is there is a huge variety of levels. So all the way up from beginners at 5 to 9, we have clover buds if they're interested youngsters, and then all the way through 19 years old if you want to compete, or we also have horseless horse projects if you're interested in more of the education piece. If you're not interested in showing, we have a lot of educational opportunities through Horse Bowl, which is like Quiz Bowl with just horse information. Just science education, life skill development. We try to build a well-rounded individual, not just a competitor.
Well, and I think that's so important because I don't think a lot of people realize the leadership skills and those kinds of things that you can get through 4-H and in those youth organizations.
Yeah, and it's certainly not just horses. There are a variety of project areas within 4-H, whether it's other species or if it's specifically leadership development or science, engineering, and technology through robotics. There's a lot of opportunities in 4-H. But certainly if you're interested in the horse program, we have a variety of fun activities there.
Well, and I think that's such a nice fit, and especially getting kids involved because there's not many kids you talk to that don't want a pony or don't want some kind of horse experience.
We want those kids, yeah. We want those kids. And if anyone is interested in getting in 4-H, learning more about it at their level, all they have to do is go to 4h.org and they can find out how to join a club. So.
Well, and when we look at that, you mentioned especially the younger ones, that seems like a nice young age to start to get kids involved.
Yeah, and you might as well start young with the educational piece so that you can be safe around horses. There are a lot of online resources through 4-H and Extension to start out so that when you do get ready to ride or compete, they're able to do it a lot more successfully.
Well, and I've noticed that too, especially being at the fairs and those kinds of things this time of year. Lots of good opportunities for the kids to get out and actually really get into some of those competitions because there's many different ways that you can compete.
Yeah. What I love about the 4-H fairs too is I love going and chatting with the kids that are competing there because it's much different than your average horse show. They're ready to tell you about their project. They want to tell you about how they've worked with that horse or that steer or what have you, and really educate the public about it. So everybody go to your fair and chat with the participants.
Well, and I think a neat opportunity too to ask them how they got started. Yeah. How did you get into it? Because there's the 4-H competitions and there's different ways that you can compete as well. Western, English, some of that kind of stuff.
Yes, that's true, yeah. Personally, I compete as well, so it's not a phase that I grew out of, and I think, so sorry dads, if your daughter wants a pony now, she's gonna want a pony forever. So I have my own horse. I compete in the all-around events, and I think we have a couple pictures.
Yes, so we'll go ahead and get one of those up so you can kind of tell us.
So this is me competing in hunt seat with my horse Ozzy, who is near and dear to my heart. You'll see that that's a pretty traditional attire. Some of you may recognize that with the tan pants and the black hat. So that's the type of attire you'd wear to go over fences and things like that. I also compete in Western events, and you'll see that picture next. So that's hailing back to, we talked about your fact of the day. So the cowboys, those sorts of things, that's the type of attire the cowboys would wear. I've just dressed it up a little bit for show. So.
Well, and when we look at things like that, I mean, how long are you looking at to kind of learn what you need to do? Because they're looking at both the rider and the horse in some classes?
Yeah, absolutely, and it depends on the class that you compete in. The nice thing is there are a variety of levels. If you want to compete at a national level, we have definitely that type of competition here in Michigan. Or if you just want to go to a local fun show, we have a lot of those opportunities too. And I like to do a little bit of both. So I don't have a lot of time with the family, so luckily I can just go to lots of local shows that are near to us.
Oh, and when we talk about showing you mentioned jumping, halter. Let's just talk a little bit about different ways that folks can get involved like that with the classes.
Yeah, so you can do classes that are in-hand classes, so where you don't ride, but the horse walks next to you. Different things they can be judged on, the conformation of the horse. So they do the same type of things at a dog show or a steer show, something like that. So you're looking at how the animal is put together and what's ideal there. And then you can get into the riding classes, and there are classes that are judged on how well the exhibitor is at riding, and then there are some on how well the horse moves and what's ideal, depending on the breed specifications. So
lots of different ways to get involved.
tons of different ways to get involved, yeah.
Well, and I'm going to have you tell us one more time, 4-H.
4H.org is the national website if you want to get involved, or contact your local county extension office. That's probably the best way. But in case you don't have that contact information, just go to 4H.org.
Great. Well, Taylor, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Lots of opportunities to get out there and learn more.
Yeah.
Folks, certainly, we talk, we joke about it. I think when we grow up, we all wanted a pony. That love does grow for those animals. So many different ways you can get involved. Get out there, learn a little bit more, and get some of those experiences. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this message, and we're going to talk to somebody who's out there doing it.
The Cherry Marketing Institute wants you to know about tart cherries. Cherry's red color comes from powerful antioxidants. Available year-round, it's easy to incorporate cherries into your daily diet. Visit choosecherries.com.
Michigan's 1,000 apple growers take pride in producing delicious apples from one generation to the next. From the Great Lakes come great flavors. Look for locally grown Michigan apples.
Have Jody speak at your next agricultural event. Go to jodylive.com.
And welcome back. We are back with Cassidy Miller of the Michigan High School Rodeo Association. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to have you start and just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions about your involvement, because I know you've done a lot.
Yeah. I'm 17 years old, and I go to Fulton High School, and I grew up rodeoing and around horses. I grew up on a ranch in St. John's, and we raise border collies and have horses and cattle.
Well, and certainly when you look at something like this, ways to get involved, lots of different ways. Tell me a little bit as to how you got started.
Rodeoing, I have lots of friends that rodeo because I've always been in the horse stuff. I used to team pen and sort, and I started off doing that. And then I got into barrel racing and stuff like that, and I really, really liked it. And then high school rodeo was a great program for me to get into. The age divisions are 6th grade through 8th grade is the junior high, and then 9th grade through 12th grade is the senior division. And you get to do lots of events and meet lots of people and go to nationals and things like that.
Well, and let's talk a little bit, certainly with horse. I mean, is there something specific you're looking for? Are you looking for training it? Do you train it? Do you get one trained? How do you really get started? Because I would think a good horse is a good place to start.
Yeah, exactly. Personally, I like to train my own horses because then my horse knows me and I know them, and then we know what each other's gonna do, and it's just a lot easier if you train your own horses. But some people, like when you're first getting started, it's nice to have an old seasoned horse that knows what it's doing. So then the horse helps train you, and then that's how I started off. And then once you get better, then you can train the horse and do it together as a team.
Well, and I like that. I don't think people always think of that as the team with your horse, but you really have to have it together.
Yep, exactly.
Well, and you said you started with some of the penning.
Yep.
What do you do when you're penning?
Team penning, there's cattle on one side, and then there's a pen on the other, and they'll call out a number, and there's 3 of that number in the herd, and you go and get the number and put them in the pen. It's a timed. Usually it has 60 to 90 seconds. Just depends on how big the pen is.
So you're moving pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah, everything's timed.
Well, and I know one of the things you do, and I know you have a picture for this, is doing the barrel racing. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that.
Barrel racing is my favorite event. That's my buckskin. He just turned 4, and I've had him for about 9 months, and I trained him on my own, and he's already set 2 arena records.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's an awesome little horse. I like him a lot.
So you can work with them that quick and kind of get them together and get them ready to go?
Yeah, it really helps if you have a horse that's already broke and then you just train them how to do the pattern and things like that. I got really lucky with my buckskin though, because he just wants to do whatever I want him to do, and he never picks a fight with me or anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
So you guys are a pretty good team.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he gets a couple treats now
Yeah.
too. Well, and I know you have another picture, and I have to say this is one of my favorite pictures. You got to have this on your Facebook.
Yes.
But tell us a little bit here.
That one was state finals at Tom's Western Store just this past June. And Karen Allen, she's the one that takes these pictures, and she does a very, very good job taking those. And that one, my horse is getting pretty good. He's getting down there. We actually won that day too. So.
Well, and for folks who really haven't done that, I mean, it does look like you're kind of off there leaning to the side.
Yep. Well, sometimes it helps your horse, because my horse, whatever way I go, he goes. So if you kind of lean into that, he's going to lean, and he gets right down there and does his job.
So how'd you do? How'd you guys do as a team?
Good. We ended up winning it that day, but overall we ended up third, because throughout the season I missed a couple rodeos. So.
Well, and how many, I mean, I think that's a great point, is what is that season? There's a lot of different events.
Yeah. Depends on what age group you're in, and if you're a boy and girl, obviously guys ride rough stock and things like that, and guys rope. And the girls barrel race and pole bend and goat tie, and then they have a chance to rope, and you can rope with a guy if you want to. And I do everything. So.
Have you involved everything? I know you have another picture where, actually I'm going to have you tell us a little bit about it, because I'm probably going to say the wrong thing.
Sorry. Yep, that's team roping. There's two people in there, a header and a heeler. I'm the header, so the header ropes the horns, and then you dolly and turn the steer, and then your heeler comes up and ropes the back legs, and you stretch the steer out, and then your time stops.
So how long does it take, and how hard is it to learn how to rope? Because, you know, you're riding, you're roping, there's a lot going on.
Well, you have to have your horsemanship down first, because it really helps if you know how to ride a horse. And roping, I've been roping my whole life pretty much, but I just started competitively roping a few years ago. And I've gone to Stuart Pletcher's roping schools, and they've helped me out a lot. They have a lot of clinics. And you just go to the clinics, you don't have to know anything about roping, and they'll teach you everything that you need to know.
Wow. And then practice.
Yes, practice every day. I practice every day.
So, and when we're looking at that, I mean, lots of opportunities to get involved. And what would you say to other folks out there that are interested but maybe haven't done it yet? You know, where's a good place to get started?
I think high school rodeo is a perfect opportunity. High school rodeo really, really helped me with everything, because it is a competition, but everybody's also there to help you. And nobody's gonna get on you if you can't do things right. Everybody's there to help you, and it's really fun. And it's a family thing, and I really like it.
Well, that's one of the things I've noticed. It's such a family event. And what are some of the other events that are coming up? Because don't you guys have something coming up?
Yep, we have a high school rodeo in Charlotte, September 8th, and it's not too late to get entered into that. So if you want to get entered, you just go to the MIHSRA rodeo page, and you can click on there, and it'll print out your entry form. You just fill it out, send it.
Well, and Cassidy, what do you see for the future? What are your plans as you move ahead?
I really want a college rodeo, so I'm hoping I'm going to get a few scholarships, because I've got 2 years of high school left, and at nationals, high school rodeo is also a very great place for scholarships. You can get full rides and everything. Go to nationals, if you do pretty good out there, you're pretty much guaranteed a good scholarship. But I want to go for RN. And then I'm going to college rodeo at the same time. So.
Great. That might be handy. Huh?
Yeah.
You can help folks out with that nursing as you're also getting ready for your next event.
Yep, there you go.
Well, Cassidy, thank you so much. We appreciate the energy and enthusiasm, and hopefully we can get some folks out there and get some more folks involved and give you some of that great experience. So we appreciate
You're welcome.
it.
Thank you.
Folks, certainly we know the diversity. We talk about the diversity of agriculture, but we know how important the horse and equine industry is in our state. We also don't think about all the opportunities there are for events and activities like rodeo. So if you haven't got out there, get out there, go ahead, take one in, make it a family event. There's a lot of great folks out there that you can talk to and get to know. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this message.
This is the fast track to more jobs and America's energy independence. Advanced performance is here now. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
And welcome back. We are back with Tom Tyler and Caitlin Howe of Tom's Western Store. Welcome. It's good to have you both here.
Thank you for having us.
Well, Tom, I'm going to have you start and tell us a little bit about, if anybody's in the Mid-Michigan area, we all know of Tom's Western Store. I'm going to have you tell us a little bit about it and how you got started.
Well, probably early in the 50s, my parents were dairy farmers, worked at a creamery. Father hurt his back, decided you can't keep lifting cans. It wasn't bulk back then. Thought, well, maybe a service station would work. There was one for rent. That was working out, so we progressed into buying 2 acres, selling the farm, have a service station. Back then it was full service. You pumped the gas, you washed the windows, $5 filled up your tank. That's a while ago.
Oh, yeah.
So that progressed into selling groceries and lawnmowers, different things like that, and working with the community. He knew most of the farmers, and well, my sister was 4 years older, met a fellow working for Dad, was maybe 10 years older, decided to get married. He wanted to lease purchase a station. My father decided to build another store next door from where the service station is on the corner today. No longer in the family, but it's still there and has progressed as well. Got into furniture, took horses and cattle on trade. That got me started in clean and tack, riding snotty ponies, trying to raise some cattle that people might trade in. Back then we had dwarfism in the Hereford industry. That was a bad experience for me. Had to, hard time for them to calf, and I didn't like losing calves and stuff like that. So I decided ponies were a lot easier to get bucked off and get kicked. So cleaning tack, doing tack repair. Mother was a teacher. We would go to harness shops, saddle factories, learn more about the trade on a school vacation during the summer. So we progressed with a little more tack. In the early 60s, we had accumulated quite a bit. We had to make a decision, build a building, the front part of the store, get a retail sales number established in my name, didn't know what to call it, so we said Tom's will work.
There you go.
And from there, 1964, this year evolved into our 50th year. Still doing it, growing, adding more clothing, boots, saddlery, that type of thing as demand was there through other youth programs in the state. Created the need, and there wasn't a lot of places. What places were out there were smaller and maybe going out of business, so we filled the need in the area that we were in. So that's kind of how we evolved into what we have today and expanded as times and the market demanded more increase, or the money was there to do things with. You just had to go a little bit at a time, and that's, thankfully we had good customers and good products, and that,
That does make a difference, and especially too, I know our family has draft horses, and when you're looking for the tack and you're looking for the right piece, it's nice to know you need to know where to go, what can you get, how do you pull things together, and how do you make it work. And it's nice to see as you guys are looking at the next generation. And Caitlin, what are some of the things that you're doing, and how are you involved with the store?
Sometimes I will help restock the shelves and make sure that there's all the stuff out on the shelves. And sometimes I will help my grandpa in the shop, like with his repairs.
And I know you have some skills. You brought a picture. We're going to put that up, and you can tell us, looking at some of the projects that you've been able to do.
This is Nick, my pony. He's 13 years old, and he's a really good pony. And the halter on him, I did all of the stuff on the nose band with my grandpa, and he helped me from the very beginning by just printing off a design off the computer and turning it into a noseband. So.
Very nice. And I know you brought it here. We'll
Yes.
hold it up just so we can kind of see. And Make sure I get this right.
Yep.
Very cool. And this can't be something you just learned how to do overnight.
No, it took a long time because it was a lot of wet, dry, and you had to, it was a lot of steps. There was like a lot of tooling, and it took a lot of patience to do all the tooling on it.
And you had this at the fair?
Yes, I did, and I won a rosette on it in the award ceremony.
That's awesome. Well, and being involved at the store, you're also involved with your horse. So, and I know we have a picture of that. So we're going to have you tell us a little bit of what you do and what you do with your horse.
Okay. I show at the Clinton County Fair. I just got done with that last week. Last year was my first year, but this year we improved a lot. We worked really well together as a team this year. It was a fast week, but it went really well. I did English and Western, and I did pretty much everything else too.
So lots coming on the horizon.
Yes.
Do you plan to stay involved at the store and with your horse?
Yeah.
Keep right there helping Grandpa, huh?
Yeah.
Well, and Tom, what do you see as some of the opportunities for the future? I know you guys have expanded. You have the livestock. You host some of the rodeo events.
Well, I don't know if there's much expansion. We've got a lot to do right now to maintain, and so that's where the young kids come in to help maintain and take care of the facilities alone. And we go out once a year to the expo at Michigan State, and set up, and that takes extra staff and a lot of work, and all the kids are real good about helping and pitching in and have to load and unload and present your product and try to sell. It's a hard industry for a lot of kids to get into. It's a lot of things in the agriculture and housing that's difficult for people to buy places and have enough property and be zoned right today. And people don't realize that. I hear it all the time, where the people move out of the city, want to have this. They bought a property and they can't build a barn or have a horse because it's residential, and maybe they've got 5-6 acres. And that's a whole nother facet that they need to think about if they're going to get into it. But there's other things and projects in like the retail that I'm into today, and working with
Lots of ways that the folks can kind of get
all
involved.
the products that are involved, and selling products.
And exciting to kind of see the next generation coming up. And Caitlin, this is absolutely beautiful. And I look forward to you working with your grandpa. And we'll have you on in the future, and you can show us the next items that you make. How's that?
Good.
Folks, certainly when we think about the opportunities in the horse industry and the equine industry, lots of ways to get involved, and lots of wonderful stories like this when you hear the generations and the generation of involvement. Stay tuned. We'll be back with the recipe.
This hog is Hanover hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
It is certainly blueberry season. Here's a very easy recipe for basically blueberry granola bars. You'll go ahead and take your dry ingredients, mix those together. Then you'll go ahead and take your baking pan, preheat the oven to 350, spray that baking pan, and then combine those dry ingredients. You'll go ahead and add those blueberries along with your yogurt, the cinnamon, and the baking soda. Mix that together, put that in your pan, and then you'll put that in the oven and bake that just for 10 minutes. And then go ahead, turn that down a little bit, and then you'll bake it 20 to 25 to kind of finish off till it's bubbly. Very easy. It's berry season. You can certainly substitute blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. If you have some berries and would like to try this recipe, you can visit us online at Michigan Farm and Garden Recipe at MichiganFarmandGarden.com, or write to Michigan Farm and Garden Recipes, P.O. Box 461, Williamston, Michigan 48895, and we'll make sure we get that recipe off to you. Folks, great information about the horse industry in the state. Lots for us to be proud of. Have a great week, and I'll see you back here next weekend. Bye-bye.